that aside, I'm especially troubled by the format that's been reported to me will be for this upcoming Mueller hearing. So if we start 8 to 10 minutes late for that hearing, if we only have 2 hours, and then we're going to cede it over to the Intel Committee, Mr. Chairman Schiff, who's apparently running this in some respects, if we start 8 to 10 minutes late, as we did this morning, that will lop 2 people off who won't be able to ask questions if we adhere to the 5-minute rule. But we likely won't, because it's not unusual for individuals on the other side to be allowed to go over a minute or two in their questioning, not in the response necessarily of the witness, but in their actual questioning. And if there's some post-testimony commentary, which is sometimes the case, as we see, we've even seen here today, that will further erode the time. So if you happen to be sitting on the bottom row here and you have 1 hour, and you have 1 hour, that's the 2-hour limit. That means at 5 minutes you get about 11 people in. But when you start moving to these other things, you start lopping off members of that 11. And if you're not part of the 11, what are you? You're being treated unfairly and disproportionately. We've taken the forceful step as a committee, whether you agree or disagree, to subpoena Robert Mueller, the special counsel. It's our committee's jurisdiction. It's not the Intel Committee's jurisdiction. But we've done this ostensibly because we find his testimony to be valuable. So valuable that we're going to subpoena him in. But we're going to constrain the opportunities for members of this committee to ask questions. That's neither appropriate, it's neither fair, and quite frankly, it probably doesn't comport with the rules of this committee or the House. The chairman of our committee has said that witnesses shall not dictate the terms and conditions of their testimony. But that seems to be what's going on here today. Either that or Chairman Schiff is dictating, because we're getting only 2 hours. And then it's going to go to the Intel Committee. Well, that means not everybody on this committee is going to get the opportunity. And that means that we have a hierarchical system, a system that's based on preferential treatment, quite frankly, by where you sit on the committee. It means if you're in the front row, I happen to be on the front row. I was just inches away from the back row. But it means that membership of this committee is not democratic, and we're not going to all be treated equally. But I know everybody here has questions. So the Washington Times reported on a couple of my friends who sit on the front row, asking them, what do you want to ask questions of Mr. Mueller for? And they stated what they want to ask their questions. Bad news for you, because if you sit on the front row, you're not in that 11 most likely. And that means that you're probably not going to get to ask questions, the questions that you told the Washington Times that you wanted to ask, including me. I told them what I wanted to ask. So the way I view this is, if we're really going to go by the plan that we've heard that's been related to us, is that we're going to get an hour apiece, and we're going to go the 5-minute rule, that means that my time to ask questions has been ceded over to the Intelligence Committee, instead of this committee, where we have jurisdiction. And that is really, really wrong. This is a committee that has a long and storied history, and we are undermining it by that type of session to the other committee, and by not allowing us to adhere to the rules, the 5-minute rules, so everyone gets to ask questions. That I yield back.